Hey y'all, Flipper Fred here, excited to be here with you today. I have a Temu special knockoff of a 𝗗𝗏𝗏 Sage 5 lightweight. We're going to take a look at the specs, the good, the bad, the ugly. Is this knife worth buying, or is just crap? Deserves to go in the trash heap. Before we get started, as always, please hit that like and subscribe button down below. That really helps little guys like us get found on the YouTubes, and I greatly appreciate that. If you haven't seen my videos before on Temu knockoff knives, let me start by saying I am not advocating in any way that this is a good thing, that some Chinese company has gone out and completely knocked off these 𝗗𝗏𝗏 knives down to the boxes, the branding, the logos. That is just not cool at all. And yet here I am sitting reviewing one, because the reality is they exist. They are out there. They're on Temu. If you look at any knives on Temu, you are going to see these knives, and probably a whole lot of people are wondering, is it worth it? The other side of this is I never would have bought a 𝗗𝗏𝗏 knife before I started grabbing some of these up off of Temu and testing them out for myself. 𝗗𝗏𝗏s look weird, and I just don't have $160 to $200 to drop on a pocket knife, especially one that to me looks pretty weird. However, having now held and used a few of these now, and really carried them in my pocket, used them for my office warrior tasks, I got to tell you, they're growing on me. I like them. And to be honest with you, I have now identified a couple of these knives that I probably would go out and buy. So the irony is, in all this, it actually took somebody who was never a 𝗗𝗏𝗏 buyer and turned them into a 𝗗𝗏𝗏 buyer. So it's quite interesting in that regard. I'm just otherwise fascinated with what they do, how they do it. How did they make this? How did they get it so realistic to the actual original, all the way down to even the fine details? You know, how do they go about marketing them? If you've read through some of the knife descriptions on Temu, they are absolutely hilarious. Some of the things that they call these knives, you know, fruit slicing, outdoor specialist jackknife. That's how they describe these products in their online listings. So I find a good bit of humor in that. The other reality for us is that so many of us just cannot afford to drop $160 to $200 or more on these really nice pocket knives. And so our only hope in life, if you're a knife enthusiast, is to maybe try some of these knockoffs, see if it suits you well, see if maybe it's something you enjoy carrying and using, and then maybe, like me, you might become a buyer of the real thing as well. So just know that I know this is not a good thing at all, that they have knocked off all of 𝗗𝗏𝗏's branding and company and their intellectual property here. That's not a really cool thing. All right, let's talk about the specs real quick. So you can see on the sheet here, you can pause the video if you want, that basically all the check marks down here on the Temu version mean this knife meets the exact length, the blade length. The closed length came in a little bit different, but that's really, we're talking 4/100ths of an inch. That could just be my calipers are off a little bit. Blade thickness was accurate. The handle thickness came in also a little bit different, but again, that's 2/100ths of an inch, so that could be caliper differences. You're certainly not ever going to notice that in person. Same blade finish, same blade grind. Scales obviously are the same. They've done an excellent job in terms of the bidirectional pattern that these have. So it's grippy in this direction, and then it's also grippy in this direction, going out from the center towards the outside of the knife. They've done an excellent job on these scales in terms of the grippiness and that bidirectional pattern that they have in there. So that was pretty surprising to me, and really something you'd never know by just looking at pictures how that feels in your hand until you get it in your hand. And again, reason why where I never would have considered buying this knife before, now that I've got one and have tried it out, man, I'm kind of having second thoughts. So good job on that. Obviously, the steel, this says S30V. I'm highly doubtful of that. Pretty sure we're not getting S30V for a $20 knife. And then the weight. So the weight comes in a little bit lighter on this one. I'm going to imagine also that probably has a lot to do with the steel of the blade, where again, it's a small amount of a difference. We're talking, what, 7/100ths of an ounce. But that would probably be the reason from the different kind of steel used in the blade. That's my suspicion there. It does have the compression lock. The color is one of the other differences that you will find it does not match up. So let me grab this again. So cobalt blue is the only one that I can find. This is a cobalt blue. I know the color is not going to come through great. This is just a printed picture, but it's a dark kind of battleship gray blue is the cobalt blue that this comes in, not this bright blue. That being said, I don't mind the bright blue at all. I think it looks kind of nice. I like it. Suits me just fine. So I don't really care that much about the color. Let's talk about maybe some of the other differences that you'll find. And this is an easy way to spot a lot of fake Spyderco knives. The logo and the writing are not black. In this case, it's kind of almost a dull brownish color on the Spyder logo. And the name and the blade steel here is completely washed out. So I took a little bit of rubbing alcohol on a tissue and just simply wiped across that, and all of the colored ink came right out of that. So all you're seeing is etched. This is where it has literally been etched into the steel, which is cool. I mean, they actually took the time to etch in the name. They etched in the logo. They etched in 𝗗𝗏𝗏𝗏, Taiwan, which is another difference that you'll find. I'll probably have to drop a zoomed in picture of this, but it should be Taichung ending in a G, and this one ends in a C, Taichung, Taiwan. So that's a little bit of a giveaway that this might not be a real Spyderco. But if you look at the logo even up close compared to the real thing, this is a pretty good replica of them. And if you know a lot about Spydercos, you will know that some of the spiders themselves on the real knives actually change from depending on where it's made, whether it's the US or Japan or Taiwan. Those Spyder logos over time have changed a little bit. So it's really hard to tell from just looking at the logo alone. You'd have to have like a chart table of all the different minor variations of that Spyder on there. So that's one of the big deals. That you'll know. The blade's not really fully centered. It's not terrible here, but you can see it's off just a little bit to the right side, which is the show side of the knife. So let's talk about the size a little bit. Well, before I move this away, I'll show you. Obviously, you've been looking at the box that it came in. This one does say Golden, Colorado, USA. However, this one knife is made in Taichung, Taiwan. So that's a little bit of a giveaway. What comes in the box. So it does have these stickers on them. It does say it's a Sage 5, and now it says made in Taiwan. I have no idea if this is a real sticker or not. What you get in the boxes you'll find varies tremendously too. Very cheap and crinkly plastic. We'll get rid of that. And this is another place where they divert a lot. Now, this one actually came with a Sage 5 lightweight little pamphlet here. However, very few of the knockoff knives that you'll buy on Temu will actually have the accurate knife inside here. I've gotten these for all different kinds of knife description booklets that don't in any way even come close to matching the knife that I actually received in the box. So I think maybe they just have a stack of these for all different knives, and they just grab one off a pile and stick it in the box to make it look realistic. A little bit of soft foam in the bottom. I mean, it's close to looking realistic, but obviously if you get the wrong pamphlet and your box says Golden, Colorado, but the knife is from Taiwan, those are just some more giveaways that you're not getting a real deal here. Let's take a look at a little bit of size comparisons here. So we have the PM2. You can see that one is quite a bit larger versus the Para 3. So obviously the Para 3 is going to be a really good size comparison, right at very similar sizes and shapes. Obviously the blade shape, more willow leaf there. Here's one that probably a lot of people will have is a Benchmade bug out. That's a really good size comparison as well. Here's a mini bug out, obviously going to be smaller. So again, your one-to-one comparison, your best closest size is right at the size of a regular normal bug out. If that's what you have, that may give you a sense of the size. Talk about the fit and finish of this thing. First of all, there is no blade play up, down, side to side. That is a beautiful thing. The action tends to bounce back out of that detent there, but this has a great snappy detent. So this thing holds this in right here, and it just really takes a little bit of force to break that loose of that detent ball. What that means is that the action on this thing is great. Whether you're Spidey flicking it, your thumb flicking it, no matter how you want to launch this thing, it is snappy. So I love the action on this thing. Obviously, you can see with the compression lock, it doesn't totally swing freely, but that's not an issue. If you've just been seeing me flip it, just give it a little bit of a wrist flip and it pops right back down into its nice home there. So I'd say fit and finish pretty good. Again, the blade's not really centered, so that's not very good finishing. In terms of just the overall aesthetic quality, it's got the same, plunge lines and grinds, the same satin finish. I mentioned the textured scales. These do have the steel liners. Going to be hard to see. You can barely see that the steel liners are milled out, just as they are top and bottom in the original. So they've done that true to form as well. They've got the same type of barrel back spacers with a little lanyard hole there, using the same standard pocket clip. Paper clip style. A lot of people hate these. I got to tell you, I love it. It works great. It's easy in and out of the pocket. It's a nice stiff clip too. I mean, like, they didn't cheap out on the steel for this clip. That's a nice firm clip, just enough give. It's got the Spyderco logo kind of milled out underneath there so it doesn't tear up your pants. They did a good job even in the finish of all of the FRN. I mean, it's all true to form. If you just handed somebody who didn't know this any better, wasn't just really into Spydercos and an expert on identifying the fakes, very few people would probably handle this knife and not think it was real. It feels good. It's got the same dimensions, height, weight. Well, the weight's whatever, a couple hundredths of an ounce off. Fit and finish is really good. I mean, for a $20 knife, you're not going to get much better than this. Again, the real question is, how will that blade steel hold up? I'm going to suspect it won't. In that regard, the blade came pretty darn sharp. I mean, that's obviously one of the things that I want to know if I'm going to be, spending any money on a knife. And so will it cut? Yeah, it'll definitely cut. That's not an issue at all. Question is, how long will that blade hold out? How long will it last before it gets dull? How many times can you sharpen it? How well does it sharpen back? But again, at first face value, this thing is sharp. It cuts. It's got the same slicey blade. It's got the same blade dimensions as the real thing. You can't blame that. In terms of comfort, I can get a full 4-finger grip back here in the back. My hands are somewhere right in between a medium to large. Mediums are too small for me, and large has a little extra play in the little extra length in the fingertips. So if that helps you out any, choke up is beautiful. That's what this knife is made for, is this great forward finger choil. Those of you who have 6 fingers are going to find plenty of space on the back end with that choked up grip to get all 6 of your little fingers right around that thing there. So the comfort's great. No real hot spots. The clip is beautiful. It's soft. The action is great. The detent is good. The carry is good. So now we come down to the final question. Is this something that I would buy again? And what would I really be willing to pay for it? So the first thing you'd have to look at is, I'm not trying to fake anybody out. If I show anybody this knife, any of my friends or family, I'm telling them this is a fake knockoff knife. It's not the real thing. However, I've done that with a few people, and they've held it too and played with it and say, wow, that's really actually a pretty good knife. Would I pay $20 for this? I think I paid $22.49 for this knife on Temu right here. Got it July 3rd, 2024. Outdoor pocket knife, CPM 30V flat blade. That's how they describe that knife. That's pretty close. Absolutely, I'd pay 20. I'd pay 25. Would I pay? I'd pay $50 for this knife and still feel good. Again, the unknown here is the blade steel. So for $23, $24, for $30, absolutely all day long. You can find these now still easy at that price. I've seen some under $20 on Temu. This is giving the Para 3 a run for its money. I got to say, the Para 3, I've got a Para 3 lightweight as well, and I thought, well, this is going to be my Spyderco go-to for an all-day, EDC carry. It's got the FRN scales. It's got the, bidirectional, and I thought, okay, the Para 3, that's a pretty good knife. That's about the right size that I like to carry. This is better than that, in my opinion. And you'll see a lot of videos online that will tell you the same thing. I like the blade shape and design better. The grip just feels better. It just kind of feels better in my hand. I feel like I've got good control. I love the jimping. I love the action on it. I'm afraid I have to tell you, obviously, if you haven't picked it up yet, this is a great knife. At way more than $24, this is a great knife. And this is one of those that have said to me, you know what, if this cheap knockoff version is that good, the real one must be stellar. If you get the real deal Sage 5 in a good, honest steel, that would be one of the ultimate carry EDC knives. So, yep, I have to recommend this. As much as I hate recommending knockoffs, if you don't have the money to go out and spend $160 on a knife, or you just want to be able to buy 2, 3, 4, 5 different types of knives, maybe you want to try that Para 3, maybe you want to try a PM2, or even a cheap bug out and see, you know, what's all the hype about the old bug outs. Unfortunately, this is the way to do that. You can buy those bug outs for like $10 online now. I have to recommend it. This one is more solid than most. The action is phenomenal. It feels great in the hand. I'm carrying this knife. I am carrying this knife. This is definitely one going into the rotation. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight as to the fit, finish, and quality of this cheap knockoff Spyderco knife. In my opinion, yeah, this is a 10 out of 10 for knockoffs. This is certainly not the real thing. Again, it has all the shortcomings that I have mentioned previously, but for 20 bucks, you'd be hard pressed to get a knife that is better quality than this. Take all the branding off. Would you pay 25 bucks for this knife all day long, every day? I would have no problem with that and be very happy to carry it. So that's my honest review and feedback. Again, if you enjoy this kind of content, please take the time just to give me that thumbs up down below. It helps us little guys on the YouTubes. It really helps me know I'm doing a good job bringing you the kind of information you're interested in seeing. And otherwise, I will see you soon on the next video. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.